Hello, this is Anthony. Let's walk and talk. So today we're going to have a discussion about perspective and why perspective is important. Why it's important to not only understand your own perspective, but also to understand the perspective of others around you. You see, what perspective does for the universe and in the expansion of consciousness is it allows many different views and angles of life. And in that, if you are on the path of seeking truth, and when I say truth, I'm talking about real truth, universal truth, then it's important to understand perspective, because perspective gives you a wider range of understanding of duality. You see, when you start to begin to look at life from the perspective of yourself, of the self, which is what we all are here to do, you get a very myopic view of everything around you. And what happens is that ego attaches to that perspective, and then, as we've talked about in the past, it creates the illusion that there is a right or wrong, or that you are right or wrong. Let's carry this discussion from a different angle. You see, it's been long known that, for instance, in government programs, in order to maintain the understanding of the all and what's occurring, what happens is things are compartmentalized. What that means when it's compartmentalized, what I mean by that when I say compartmentalized, is look at the image behind us, okay? Look at what's happening here. These people are trying to reach up to get the truth, to get the gift. But when you're compartmentalized, you're not asked to help the folks behind you. You're asked to just do your job and stick to your truth. And the problem with that is that it doesn't allow for the greater understanding. Okay, now here's what we're going to talk about to tie this all up in a nice little bow for you. In life, in spirituality, when you look at our ancient ancestors and you look at all of the work and the understandings, all the ancient texts that they wrote, what you begin to see is a pattern in those things. And the pattern is this: there was no compartmentalization. They felt that their connection with the universe, with God, Creator, with psychology, with science, it was all one thing. Yet in our modern day, what we generally tend to do is we compartmentalize each one of those things. We say religion's one section, psychology's another section, science is another section. And the problem that occurs in that is you can go deep on one section, but then you miss the whole understanding of the greater all, of the greater whole. You see, because they're all tied. And when you understand that they're all tied, and you can take that journey of truth to understand those understandings of why they're all tied together, then it gives you a real perspective. You see, then it's not just my science is right, my religion's right, my psychology is right. They all intersect. And where they intersect, that is where you start to find real truth and a real version of the all. See, it's important to know these things while you're on the journey, because if you fail to do that, if you take everything from a compartmentalized view, I only believe in the science. Well, then, by only believing in the science, you miss out on a lot of the stories, even if you want to go the religious perspective, and how a lot of the stories and religions really tie in together and overlap. How a lot of the archaeology and the history can show you how these things tie and overlap. So it's important to understand this, because that's where you start to get the true depth, and through all of the connection, and how the connections really open you up to a better, deeper, richer, fuller understanding of all, of Creator, of God, of your place and your connection in the world, in this illusion, an earth school. It gives you a greater, deeper understanding of the self. And the deeper of understanding of the self, the better you put yourself into a perspective of loving of who you are, of unconditional love, of actually seeing the world in a more glorious and harmonious way, rather than it being constant conflict. You start to see the balance in the chaos. You see, I think one of the most important things to understand is that no matter where you are on the journey, if you can understand that duality is chaos and order, and you can find the balance in that, that creates the balance in the self, creates a balance in you. And that balance in you is really what opens up a whole better understanding of the world. See, and if you're here to try to better understand the self, if you're here to better understand your place in the world, God, life, all the things around us, you see, you're not going to find those things by watching the news. You're not going to find those things by consuming media or just taking on your own thoughts and beliefs and not expanding or trying to understand all the experiences that are happening around you. You see, it's a fertile ground for space to be opened up to allow ego to just attach. And then you start creating labels, as we talked about in the past, and then you create more and more separation, and you get further and further away from that we are all one, and you get closer and closer to we are all individuals and we are all separate and we are all an island on our own. And you see, science would disagree with that. Science would say through quantum science that we are all connected. Psychology would say just in how we grow and evolve that we are all connected. Religion, although religion wants to put God outside of you, most religions would agree there is one God. So if there is one God, then God is not outside of you. God is connecting all of us. And when you start to see all these, how these pieces fit together, it's almost like putting together a puzzle. And when you put that puzzle together, it creates an entire beautiful tapestry for you to enjoy. It allows you to see why certain things have to happen the way they happen. It helps you to see why the difficulties in the life must be there in order for you to truly enjoy life. And when you start to see those things and how they connect together, what you begin to understand is that your view and judgment, or your perspective, your sole perspective of those things, is what creates the situation and the environment the way it is. But when you integrate all of these things, when you tie all of these things together, what you begin to see is a different perspective. You begin to see others' perspectives. Then you begin to want to understand others' perspectives, because you see inside that your perspective and their perspective are only different based on the programming, and we talk about this all the time, that you've gone through. Now, again, we talk about the programming a lot because it's undeniable, and psychology runs the whole study and gambit on this. It is why you do what you do. It is why it is so hard to change who you are. It is why it is so hard to become the different version that you want to become, because you get locked into habit, you get locked into safety, you get locked into comfort, and that is not where growth happens. Even as a child grows to be an adult, you have things like as your body grows, sometimes you ache a little bit. Like your legs may ache as you're going through a growth spurt. You see, there is no growth without pain. Again, you're experiencing both sides of duality. So by understanding this, you understand then better that it is important to integrate all of the things. It's important to understand others' perspectives. It's important to embrace others' perspectives. Again, you don't have to agree with them, but it helps you to point you closer to who you are. And when you're able to do that, it helps you point yourself closer to what you are. But what say you? How do you feel about that? Do you think that understanding perspective is important? Do you think that understanding and tying in all of the things such as science and psychology and religion is important so that we don't compartmentalize ourselves in this life and we don't lock ourselves into a very myopic view of duality. Do you understand why it's important to be able to view duality from multiple angles and multiple perspectives in order to get a better understanding of what you're here to learn, of who you are, and for lack of a better word, why you are. As always, if you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I am truly grateful. And until I talk to you again, peace, love, light. I hope you have the most amazing day.